Before Li Ye stood two S-rank tamed beasts, the Crimson Flame Golden Tiger and the Azure Water Divine Turtle. No matter which one he chose, he would have become a top-tier powerhouse. Yet he chose the lowest-ranked level E tamed beast beside them, the blood-craving demon Midge. His classmates all assumed he had been shattered by his breakup and was throwing his future away. The principal went from stunned to furious. A genius, wasted just like that. Because just moments before, Li Yi had awakened the talent appraisal system. It allowed him to see a tamed beast's evolution path and the ceiling of its talent. Though the Crimson Flame Golden Tiger and Azure Water Divine Turtle were S-rank tamed beasts, they could only evolve up to the sacred rank at most. The blood-craving demon Midge was only E-rank in tier, but it possessed the ability to evolve through blood absorption. It could also acquire the talents of whatever it fed on and return a portion to its tamer. Most crucially, its evolution ceiling was unlimited, surpassing even the highest divine rank. An S-rank tamer could guard an entire region and become a top-tier powerhouse. A sacred rank tamer was a national pillar, elevated beyond all others. As for divine rank tamers, they only existed in legends. None had appeared in many years. However, the higher the rank of a tamed beast, the more cultivation resources it consumed. Fail to obey a superior faction's command, and the supply would be cut off immediately. In the end, one would only ever reach S-rank, or sacred rank at best. But choosing the blood-craving demon Midge was different. Though it would start out weak, this tamed beast evolved quickly and didn't require many resources to grow. It didn't need to rely on any faction, and it wouldn't draw the attention of other factions either. The growth process was far safer. Li Yi immediately chose to form a contract with the blood-craving demon Midge without any hesitation. He was going to walk a path of power that belonged entirely to himself. The contract was complete. The light faded away entirely. The large screen beside him displayed the information on Li Ye's contracted tamed beast, blood-craving demon Midge, level E tamed beast. The entire plaza fell into absolute silence. Everyone stared at Li Ye in disbelief. Two S-rank tamed beasts right there, and he passed on both of them for an E-rank. Did something go wrong with his head? The principal could no longer contain his fury. He stormed up to Li Ye and roared in his face. Two S-rank tamed beasts right in front of you, and you chose the lowest ranked E-rank? Did water get into your brain? Or did a donkey kick you in the head? Li Yi shrugged and said, I simply chose the tamed beast that suits me. Choosing the others would require massive resources to cultivate. My family is too poor, we couldn't afford to raise one. But that's an S-rank tamed beast. No matter how poor your family is, the school would give you the highest level scholarship. The state would provide subsidies too. Every major clan would be fighting over you. Would you really lack resources? The principal raged himself to exhaustion, then went limp. A rare talent, a chance for the school to rise, on just like that. At that moment he had no goodwill left toward Li Yi whatsoever. He said, no matter how good your grades are, contracting the lowest tier tamed beast means you have no cultivation value whatsoever. Fine. What's done is done. There's nothing left to say. You've thrown away your chance to stand above others. Don't come crying to me later. From now on, not a single scholarship from this school has anything to do with you. The school will not invest a single resource in a waste. Though the other students felt genuinely sorry and couldn't understand Li Yi's choice, most of them took more pleasure in his downfall than anything else. They couldn't become geniuses themselves, so they preferred to watch geniuses fall. What's going on with Li Yi? Could it really be that his breakup hit him so hard he just gave up on himself? That's probably the only explanation. He was acting pretty tough just now, but he must have completely broken down inside. Otherwise there's no way he'd give up an S-ranked tamed beast for the lowest-ranked mosquito. What a waste. He let a once-in-a-lifetime chance to turn his life around slip right through his fingers. Lu Yan and Han Chen were stunned at first, then overjoyed. Lu Yan most of all. The last thing she wanted was for Li Yi to be doing better than her, because that would prove her choice had been right. He couldn't even handle a little setback without throwing everything away. Thank goodness she broke up with him. Han Chen was beside himself with excitement. That idiot will never amount to anything. Let's go out for a proper meal to celebrate. Han Chen, you have to take good care of me from now on. Help me cultivate my tamed beast, okay? Lu Yan pressed herself against Han Chen's arm, pouting and charming with everything she had. Han Chen felt supremely pleased with himself and laughed out loud. That goes without saying. You're my girl. Don't worry, follow me and I'll take good care of you. I always knew choosing you was the right call. I must have been blind before to ever be drawn to Li Yi. You're the best. Lu Yan wasn't done belittling Li Yi, just flatter Han Chen. And the other students all kept their distance from him, terrified of any association ruining their own futures. On top of that, crossing Han Chen and certain powerful clans meant facing reprisals no one could afford. Faced with all of this, Li Yi offered no explanation. He simply left. Li Yi thought to himself, the more everyone doubts you, the more it actually works in your favor. He was going to develop in secret, raise his strength as fast as possible, and only reveal his true power once he had enough to protect himself. He needed to let the blood-craving demon Midge feed and complete its evolution as quickly as possible. Though the blood-craving demon Midge had enormous growth potential and exceptional talent, it needed to absorb the blood of high-tier demon beasts to level up quickly. Ordinary demon beast blood had very little effect. But the biggest problem right now was that he was broke. Forget buying demon beasts, he couldn't even afford demon beast blood. The early stages of cultivating a tamed beast would be incredibly difficult. Going out into the wild to hunt demon beasts was absolutely out of the question. At his current combat strength, running into anything even slightly powerful would cost him his life. Joining a team wasn't an option either. Hunting parties had very high requirements for their members. This was going to be a real problem. Li Ye, stop. Why did you give up the S-rank tamed beast and choose the lowest ranked E-rank mosquito? Is it really like everyone's saying, that the breakup hit you so hard you've given up on yourself? Li Ye looked up and saw Lin Qingxue blocking his way. She wore a white dress, though her face was strikingly beautiful and her figure exceptional. Her personality was ice cold, the kind that kept everyone at arm's length. Lin Qingxue was refined, beautiful, and held in even higher regard among the boys than Lu Yan. But because of her personality, no one ever dared to pursue her. She had always competed fiercely with Li Ye in academics, pushing herself relentlessly to surpass him, yet still only managed to reach second place. Li Ye's expression turned awkward. He said, "If I told you this was a carefully thought-out decision, would you believe me?" Lin Qingxue studied Li Ye carefully. After knowing each other this long, she didn't believe he would make irrational decisions over a breakup. But how could contracting a mosquito help him escape from the bottom? No matter how well you cultivated a mosquito, it would be nearly impossible for it to break past E rank. What use was a trash-tamed beast like this? I know you didn't want to be pulled in by other clans, so you chose a more self-sufficient beast to cultivate. But even with the S-rank tamed beast and no resources to cultivate it, its growth ceiling is still higher than a mosquito's. Can you drop it? One day you'll understand that choosing the mosquito was the best decision I ever made. Li Yi didn't distrust Lin Qingxue, but this matter was tied to his very life. It had to be kept strictly confidential. Fine. As long as it wasn't an irrational decision made over a breakup, that's what matters. With that, Lin Qingxue turned to leave. Li Yi suddenly thought of something and quickly said, "I heard you contracted an A-rank three-tailed fox. Can I take a look?" Lin Qingxue was the heir to her clan. The clan had made all the preparations for her, and arranged for her to contract a spirit beast ahead of the other students. As expected, without any suspense, she had successfully contracted a three-tailed fox at the top of the A-rank tier. Li Yi planned to have the mosquito sneak in and quietly draw a little of the three-tailed fox's blood, checking if it could strengthen the blood-craving demon midge. Although Lin Qingxue found the request puzzling, she summoned the three-tailed fox without hesitation. Li Ye stroked the three-tailed fox, pretending to examine it, then summoned the mosquito. The mosquito took the opportunity to feed. Three-tailed fox, level 7, A-rank talent. Skills, Allure, Windblade, Fireball. Divine Beast Bloodline, Divine Rank Spirit Beast, Nine-tailed Fox, Bloodline Purity 5%. Evolvable. This three-tailed fox had enormous cultivation potential. Meanwhile, the mosquito fed continuously. The three-tailed fox noticed nothing at all. Was this the innate skill of the blood-craving demon midge? Li Ye continued examining the three-tailed fox's talent and evolution path. Sustained absorption of demon beast crystal cores gave the three-tailed fox a chance to evolve. Current evolution difficulty 7 stars. The most accessible evolutionary talent was the water element. Absorbing water element demon beast crystal cores was recommended, and the higher the level, the better. Alternatively, it could absorb refined demon beasts carrying divine beast bloodlines of the water element. The divine beast bloodline purity could not fall below 2%, or it would have no effect. Upon evolving into a four-tailed fox, it would reach the peak of A rank. At maximum, it could evolve into the divine rank tamed beast, nine-tailed fox. Even mentally prepared as he was, Li Yi couldn't help drawing a sharp breath. The evolution ceiling of this three-tailed fox was extraordinary, not far behind his own blood-craving demon midge. Of course, under normal circumstances, reaching the maximum evolution tier was nearly impossible. First, every evolution required different conditions. Without prior knowledge, preparation was essentially impossible. Second, the resources consumed were enormous. Evolving to a divine rank tamed beast would require national support. No individual or single clan could manage it alone. Lin Qingxue noticed Li Ye spacing out again and thought he was being extremely strange today. She said, "What are you thinking about?" "Oh, nothing much. Your three-tailed fox is really something special. With proper cultivation, its potential is limitless." Lin Qingxue ignored the flattery. She watched him, satisfied that the breakup with Lu Yan really hadn't affected him. It was only then that Li Ye realized his behavior just now had easily given people the wrong idea. He quickly explained, "Looking at your nine-tailed fox reminded me of something I read in an old book once. I'm not sure if it's true." The moment she heard it was related to her own tamed beast, Lin Qingxue's attention sharpened immediately. Though the three-tailed fox was not low-ranking and possessed strong combat power, Lin Qingxue was not satisfied. Reaching the pinnacle meant reaching S-rank at the very least. Even at its maximum potential, a three-tailed fox was no match for an S-rank tamed beast. Until this moment, Lin Qingxue had been feeling genuinely sorry that Li Ye had given up an S-rank tamed beast. Li Ye naturally couldn't reveal that he had a system, so he made up a reason on the spot. "I came across a cultivation method for the three-tailed fox. If the three-tailed fox carries the divine beast nine-tailed fox bloodline, there's a chance to evolve it all the way to the nine-tailed fox. From what I can observe, your three-tailed fox very likely meets the conditions for this evolution." Lin Qingxue's beautiful eyes went wide in an instant. "You're not joking, are you?" Li Ye said seriously. "How could I say something this important carelessly? I think what that book recorded is quite reliable. Also, I contracted a mosquito, which makes me sensitive to blood. When I observed the three-tailed fox using my tamed beast skill, I got a startling feeling. Something like that exists? Lin Qingshu was sharp. She was starting to partially understand why Li Yi had chosen the mosquito as his tamed beast. This mosquito was clearly no ordinary creature. Just the ability alone to detect whether divine beast bloodline was present was already exceptional. Lin Qingshu knew Li Yi's personality well, and she believed he never made empty claims. She said excitedly, evolving all the way to a 9-tailed fox isn't realistic, but if it could evolve to a 4-tailed fox and reach S-rank talent, that would already be incredible. I trust you. So what do we do next? Did that book mention any evolution methods? Li Yi gave a serious nod and said, there are 2 methods. The first is to have the 9-tailed fox consume a large quantity of demon beast crystal cores. This approach would inevitably require enormous resource investment. And the type of crystal cores matters too. They must all be the same category. My suggestion is to choose water attribute crystal cores. I have a feeling that feeding water attribute crystal cores to the 3-tailed fox is more likely to succeed. The second method is to find a demon beast carrying a water attribute divine beast bloodline, purify the blood to a sufficient level, then have the 3-tailed fox absorb it, same effect. Hearing the 2 evolution methods, Lin Qingshui nearly broke down on the spot, falling into despair. Even with her clan's deep resources, supporting this kind of cultivation approach would be extremely difficult. The higher the tier of the crystal core, the more expensive it was. The cores needed to trigger the 3-tailed fox's evolution certainly couldn't be low-tier ones, and there was no telling how many would be needed before it worked. Without sufficient certainty, the clan couldn't possibly go all in on this. As for the second method, the difficulty was even greater. Divine beast bloodlines were extraordinarily rare and even harder to obtain. But after her moment of dejection, Lin Qingshu quickly rallied. Her character was fiercely unyielding. She never gave up easily. Now that there was hope of raising the 3-tailed fox's talent tier, she would give everything she had. Lin Qingshu quickly returned to her distant, high and cold demeanor. She gave a nod. I understand. I'll try my best, and once I see real hope of evolution, I'll seek the clan's support. By the way, does that book still exist? I'd like to study it carefully. Li Yi laughed inwardly. This was something he had made up. Where would he even find such a book for her? So he put on a reluctant expression and said, I saw that book a few years ago at a stall selling antique books. It'll probably be very hard to track down now. Lin Qingshu said, fine, but since you've read it, I'll come find you if I have any questions. Also, your tame beast levels up far too slowly. Why don't you come hunt demon beasts with me? If anyone had known that Lin Qingshu had voluntarily asked a boy to partner up with her for a mission, they would have been absolutely stunned. Lin Qingshu was not only the #1 beauty at Haicheng High School, she could arguably claim the title across the entire city of Haicheng. Having Li Yi next to Liu Yan would at most make boys envious, but being next to Lin Qingshu would stir up murderous intent in every male student without exception. Lin Qingshu was the goddess in every boy's heart, untouchable, without the slightest blemish allowed. Li Yi thought it over and didn't refuse. Going out to hunt demon beasts with Lin Qingshu would certainly be far easier. Sure. Let me get ready first. We'll head out tomorrow. The two of them agreed on the time and went their separate ways. When no one was around, Li Yi headed back to the dorm at top speed. Then he checked on the blood-craving demon midge. Blood-craving demon midge level 1. Talent, E rank. Skill 1, prey detection. Can detect any blood-carrying life form within a 100-meter radius. Skill 2, paralysis. Injects anesthetic when feeding, making it nearly impossible for the prey to notice. Divine beast bloodline, 9-tailed fox bloodline currently being absorbed. Vitality, 1.1/10. Evolution points, 0. After reading the data, Li Yi understood why the blood-craving demon midge hadn't been detected while feeding on the 3-tailed fox. It meant the blood-craving demon midge could quietly draw blood from any demon beast without making a sound. Raising its strength going forward was going to be much easier. Li Yi waited for the blood-craving demon midge to finish absorbing the 3-tailed fox's blood. He had expected the process to take a long time, but to his surprise, the absorption was complete in just over half an hour. He quickly checked the blood-craving demon midge's status, and found its body had grown larger, with several more markings appearing across its surface. Its spiritual power had grown notably stronger, and a faint aura even emanated from it. He quickly pulled up the blood-craving demon midge's attribute panel. Level 2. Talent, D rank. Skill 1, paralysis. Skill 2, prey detection. Skill 3, basic bewilderment. Skill 4, basic fireball. Skill 5, basic blade. Divine beast bloodline. 9-tailed fox bloodline purity, 2.6%. 3 attribute feedback entries accumulated. Activate now. Vitality, 10/40ths. Evolution points, 10/40ths. Looking at the attribute panel, which had improved by a massive margin, he was genuinely stunned. Just a single feeding session, and the blood-craving demon midge had improved by this much. Even its talent tier had risen by 1 rank. Even more astonishing was that it had acquired a divine beast bloodline, and at no small purity either. With a divine beast bloodline of this purity, the future potential for growth was beyond imagination. More importantly, with attribute feedback available, his own capabilities could be boosted immediately. He agreed to the feedback at once. Suddenly, a surge of powerful energy rushed through his body. He checked his own talents, and sure enough, a significant increase had occurred. Li Yi. Class, Tamer. Skill 1, Beast Taming. Skill 2, Basic Wind Control. Skill 3, Basic Fire Control. He immediately noticed the pattern. The returned skills appeared to vary somewhat based on how they had been used. The only downside was that the mosquito's level was still very low, and the talent skills it had acquired were low level too, incapable of dealing significant damage, but he was confident that with these skills he could deal with any demon beast below a rank on his own. Most tamers rarely train their bodies, but having acquired these talent skills, Ye could now fight alongside his tamed beast. His combat power had effectively doubled. Most crucially, no one would ever expect a tamer to possess the raw physical strength of a warrior. They would naturally overlook it. In combat, opponents would focus their attention on dealing with his tamed beast. That made for an excellent opportunity to strike when least expected. He wondered how often the three-tailed fox could be fed on without it being affected. As long as he kept drawing from the three-tailed fox, the nine-tailed fox divine beast bloodline purity would keep rising, and the power he gained would grow stronger and stronger. And once the three-tailed fox evolved, even more talent skills would become available. Ye was barely able to contain his excitement. In the future, he would not only be a powerful tamer, he would also grow into peak-tier warrior, walking a path completely unlike anyone else's. If he too evolved into a divine rank existence, there was simply no telling how powerful he would become. The thought alone made him almost unable to hold back. He wanted to take the mosquito out right now and go hunt demon beasts. The best target would be high-level demon beasts whose blood could be absorbed for their talent abilities. He had to help Lin Qingshu evolve the three-tailed fox. The faster it evolved, the faster he grew. Ye suppressed his excitement with great effort and decided to rest early, conserve energy, and be in the best possible shape for combat tomorrow. But the moment he lay down, the dormitory door was kicked open, and 3 men stormed in with hostile intent. Finding Ye lying on the bed only made them angrier. They shouted at him, "Ye, how can you possibly sleep right now?" Ye glanced over. Weren't these Han Chen's lackeys? They had obviously come to cause him trouble to curry favor with Han Chen. If this had been before, Ye probably would have had no choice but to let them bully him. But things were different now. With the blood-craving demon midge boosting his strength, he might not be without a fighting chance against these guys. What pleased him most was that these idiots had apparently brought their contracted tamed beasts along to show off. Ye sat up and quietly summoned the blood-craving demon midge. While keeping their attention on him, he had the demon midge circle around behind them to feed on their tamed beasts. Ye said coldly, "What do you want? Oh, still playing dumb at a time like this? Today I'll show you what happens when you cross young Master Han." Zhao Ji said, "Take a good look at yourself. Who do you think you are to go against young Master Han in public? I'm here today to give you a good beating." Li Yang said smugly, "You think you're still first in the school? A waste like you has already been written off by the school. People at the bottom need to know their place, know who you can afford to cross, and who you can't." Shu Song sneered, "Enough talk. Since we're already tamers now, let's settle this the tamer way. As long as we kill his tamed beast, he's done. Without reaching level 20, there's no way to contract another one. By that point, he'll be completely worthless. That's way worse than just killing him." "Not a bad idea. He's already a waste, but stripping him of his tamer status will hit him even harder." The 3 of them chattered away smugly, trying to shatter Li Ye's resolve. Meanwhile, the blood-craving demon midge had already fed quickly on the blood of all 3 tamed beasts. It relayed the blood information to Li Ye through the mental link. No divine beast bloodline, but talent skills could still be acquired. Li Ye noticed the horned turtle's talent skill was quite useful and immediately ordered the mosquito to process the horned turtle's blood first. Perhaps because it carried no divine beast bloodline, the horned turtle's blood was consumed in just a few seconds. The blood-craving demon midge immediately acquired the horned turtle's talent skill, Turtle Shell Defense, capable of greatly increasing defensive power. Li Ye clicked to activate the skill feedback. A surge of energy instantly rushed through his body. He had fully mastered Turtle Shell Defense, which could significantly boost defensive power. His confidence in fighting these guys had grown considerably. He might be able to defeat them without taking a single hit. Looking at their smug expressions, Li Ye agreed to the fight without hesitation. "Are you all coming at me together, or one at a time?" Zhao Ji said arrogantly. "Why would we need 3 people just to deal with you? I could take you down with 1 finger." Shu Song added from the side, "Don't try to run or you'll be sorry." Li Ye showed no fear in the face of their threats. Instead, he wore a relaxed smile. He said, "I generally don't shy away from trouble, but if you want to fight, you'll have to agree to 1 condition first." "What right do you have to set conditions?" Zhao Ji clearly had no intention of giving Li Ye any room to maneuver or any chance to escape. Li Ye ignored him and said on his own terms, "If we're going to fight, let's find somewhere out of sight. I don't want anyone watching. Also, no matter who wins, no one is allowed to report it to the school." The 3 of them burst out laughing at Li Ye's conditions. "We thought you'd push back harder. Turns out you're just scared of embarrassing yourself." "Fine, I agree. Not telling the school is even better for us." Of course they weren't going to refuse. A private beating gave them more room to hit harder. If Han Chen found out, he'd be even more pleased, and they'd all share in the benefits of the Han family's favor down the line. So all 4 of them made their way to the rooftop of the dormitory building. Along the way, the blood-craving demon midge finished absorbing the remaining 2 types of blood entirely. Vitality increased by 13%. The blood-craving demon midge had grown somewhat larger, and its mouth part was longer and harder, capable of piercing even thick-skinned targets with ease. Li Ye clicked to receive the talent feedback and gained a new skill, Sprint. Double speed for a short duration. "Quick, summon your mosquito. I'm even giving you time to prepare. Can't say we didn't give you a chance." All 3 of them grinned with malice. "Kill your tamed beast, and you'll become a tamer with nothing to his name, completely worthless. Remember, Next time you're reborn, don't go crossing people above your station. Li Ye summoned the mosquito and said with impatience, I don't have time for all this talk. If you're going to move, hurry up. Still mouthing off when you're about to die. Let's see how I teach you a lesson. Zhao Jie immediately summoned his tamed beast. In his view, a mosquito wasn't even worth a single strike. He could win in one move. The other two stood to the side watching, waiting to see Li Ye lose his tamed beast and become useless. Without a tamed beast, one could only become an ordinary person. For a tamer, that was worse than death. Zhao Jie gave the order to his gray wolf tamed beast, kill this mosquito, then give this guy a good beating. After issuing the combat command, he waited for the show. In his view, the mosquito was no match for a wolf whatsoever. He was already imagining the sound of Li Ye screaming under the wolf's jaws. The wolf received the command, let out a low growl, and lunged at Li Ye. Li Ye pretended to be completely unable to dodge, managing only to raise his left arm across his chest in time. The wolf clamped its jaws onto his arm. Zhao Jie curled his lip. Is that all you've got? And you had the nerve to be arrogant in front of me. Rough him up properly. Young Master Han will be even happier. I wonder what he'll reward us with this time. At least a few bottles of cultivation fluid. The fight had barely started, and all three of them were already daydreaming. The wolf bit into Li Ye's arm and felt as though it had clamped onto an iron pipe. Its teeth went numb with the impact. The wolf looked genuinely stunned. It couldn't understand. It could easily chew through wood. So why was it completely ineffective against Li Ye? Li Ye suddenly raised his right fist and drove it into the wolf's head with full force. The wolf had no way to dodge and took a direct hit. The wolf had been contracted only recently and was low level to begin with. One punch knocked it out cold. All three of them stared in utter shock. They had never seen a fighting style like this before. How does a tamer have a body this powerful, strong enough to withstand a wolf's bite force? Even freshly contracted and low-leveled as it was, this was a nearly full-grown wolf, and it had just been beaten by a tamer. Li Ye wasn't about to give them any time to recover. While they stood there stunned, he charged straight in. One punch each, all three of them went down. Their tamed beasts lost their controller's direction, and their combat power dropped sharply. The long-beaked bird and horned turtle were both knocked out as well. They stared at Li Ye in disbelief, trying to convince themselves they had underestimated him and been caught off guard. They weren't entirely ready to accept it. Li Ye rolled his wrist. That felt genuinely satisfying. The more he fought, the more fired up he got. Then he gave the blood-craving demon midge the order to keep feeding. Since it digested quickly, might as well let it take in more, Zhao Jie said with bluster masking his fear. Li Ye dared to treat us like this, and young Master Han will never forgive you. Shut up. One punch each, Li Ye knocked them all out cold. He couldn't let these guys interrupt the mosquito's feeding. Li Ye watched the blood-craving demon midge's vitality ticking upward with every draw. If he hadn't been worried about the consequences of draining a tamed beast completely dry, he wouldn't have held back at all. But this worked out well enough. Early on, he could use their tamed beasts as blood banks. Let them recover, then feed again. The blood-craving demon midge stopped once it was full. It had risen to level 3. The return talent skills rapidly boosted Li Ye's own strength and defense. Partway through, one of them woke up. Quick as a flash, Li Ye put him back to sleep with another punch. 2 hours later, the blood-craving demon midge had reached level 5. The blood from all three tamed beasts had been nearly drained. They were significantly weakened, and drawing any more might be life-threatening. Li Ye didn't want to escalate things further, so he had the blood-craving demon midge stop. Then he headed back to the dorm at a leisurely pace. He checked the blood-craving demon midge's attributes. Level 5. Talent, D rank. Skill 1, Paralysis. Skill 2, Prey Detection. Skill 3, Basic Bewilderment. Skill 4, Basic Fireball. Skill 5, Basic Windblade. Divine Beast Bloodline. Nine-Tailed Fox Bloodline Purity, 2.6%. Divine Beast Bloodline. Though the blood-craving demon midge was low-ranked, it was easy to cultivate. As long as it kept absorbing blood from higher-ranked tamed beasts, it could evolve quickly. Its body was visibly twice the size it had been before. The mosquito's mouth part had also grown longer and harder, giving off a metallic glint. However, as its level rose, the evolution speed had slowed somewhat. It would need to keep finding higher-leveled prey to continue progressing. Sometime later, all three of them regained consciousness one after another. Zhao Jie saw his tamed beast lying on the ground in an extremely weakened state and felt a stab of anguish. He gritted his teeth. That bastard actually used my tamed beast as a blood bank. I'm never letting this go. What happened here? He's a tamer. How did he withstand the wolf's bite force? Is he dual-classed? A rare few people had the chance to awaken dual classes. Not only could they become a tamer, they might also qualify as a warrior. That's the only explanation. Otherwise, there's no way he could have withstood the wolf tearing into him. Didn't know he was hiding this deep. But even so, why would he choose a mosquito as his tamed beast? Whatever. The fact that he's thrown his own future away actually works in our favor. If he'd really contracted an S-rank tamed beast, we'd have had no way to deal with him. Listen, the three of us not being a match for Li Ye cannot leak out to anyone. Otherwise, we'll become a laughingstock. You're absolutely right. We'll settle this score with Li Ye privately. So what if he's dual-classed? A warrior's advantage grows slower than a tamed beast's. Let's focus on getting stronger fast, then come back for revenge. They needed to buy cultivation fluids immediately and restore what their tamed beasts had lost. If it left lasting damage, it would seriously hinder their growth speed. At that very moment, the school leadership was holding a meeting in the principal's office. The principal was so furious he smashed his teacup. That Li Ye is infuriating. S-rank tamed beast right there for the taking, and he goes and contracts a mosquito instead. If our school had a student who contracted an S-rank tamed beast, next year's education funding could easily double or triple. He ruined everything for me. I heard Qiancheng High School number 1 contracted an S-rank tamed beast. Even the city governor went to celebrate. This year's joint examinations are going to be a disaster for Haicheng High School number 1. There's nothing to be done about it. Cultivating an A-rank tamer can't match an S-rank tamer, but we still have to compete for as high a ranking as possible. The most worthwhile student to invest in right now is Lin Qingxu's three-tailed fox. It can be cultivated to the peak of A-rank. Even if it can't match an S-rank tamed beast, at least it can put up a decent showing. The joint examinations are critically important to every school. We can't afford to take them lightly. Although Han Shen and Lu Yan also contracted a rank tamed beasts, they're only at the lower middle tier of a rank. Their combat power is significantly weaker. No matter how you look at it, this year's school competition doesn't look promising. The leadership in the meeting room all sighed with little optimism for the year ahead. The principal, however, was unexpectedly calm, far less pessimistic than the others. He spoke, "That may not necessarily be the case. Haicheng High School absolutely cannot finish at the bottom," the academic director said with confusion. "With our students' tamed beast ranks at a disadvantage, how do we get them good results?" The principal said with assurance, "The Bai clan of the capital is preparing to return to Haicheng High School. Their family has a prodigiously talented daughter named Bai Linger, who has contracted an S-rank beast Ice Phoenix. Word is the Ice Phoenix's divine beast bloodline purity reaches 7%. With proper cultivation, there's a chance it could break through the S-rank ceiling and reach sacred rank. Because they're concerned about enemies moving against them covertly, they've temporarily relocated back to Haicheng to join our school." This explosive piece of news immediately filled every school leader with joy. The Bai clan was a clan with a lineage of ice element tamers. Their probability of summoning ice element tamed beasts was extremely high, and the ranks were consistently impressive. If the Bai clan's direct bloodline descendant could be enrolled in our school, the inter-school tournament would be the least of our worries. Who knew the principal was still holding an ace like this up his sleeve? If he'd said something sooner, we wouldn't have needed to worry at all. But the principal's expression turned extremely serious. "It's not too late to tell you now. Our primary goal is to ensure Bai Linger's safety, to prevent anyone from moving against her. Every one of you also bears the responsibility of quietly protecting her in secret. All security measures must be carried out covertly, below the surface. Absolutely no mistakes will be tolerated. While the Bai clan sent her to our school seeking protection, it also brings benefits to us, mutually advantageous for both parties. With an S-rank tamer among us, the joint examinations are nothing to worry about." The principal truly earned his position, solving a difficult problem so effortlessly. Surrounded by praise, the principal's face was filled with satisfaction. That goes without saying. Haicheng High School absolutely cannot finish at the bottom. The next morning, Li Yi rose early. The previous night's extensive blood absorption had brought substantial benefits to both the mosquito and himself, along with a valuable lesson. As long as he kept absorbing blood from tamed beasts with the same talent skills, the skills would keep leveling up, and the higher the level of blood absorbed, the faster the skill level climbed. Specifically, selecting useful species of demon beast when going out to hunt would undoubtedly be the fastest route to leveling up. On the way, quite a few students pointed and whispered about Li Yi. Before, at that distance, he wouldn't have heard a thing. But contracting the mosquito had sharpened all his senses. Even the faintest voice came through clearly. Evidently, what they were all discussing was him giving up the S-rank tamed beast and contracting a mosquito instead. Some felt genuinely sorry for him. Others were gleefully savoring his downfall. All of them assumed the breakup had dealt him a heavy blow. Li Yi found it all rather funny when he overheard. But he couldn't stop people from talking. He could only quicken his pace and leave. Arriving at the agreed meeting place, he spotted Lin Qingxu from a distance, dressed in a light gray athletic outfit that traced every elegant line of her figure perfectly. Passers-by couldn't help looking twice. Li Yi said apologetically, "Sorry, I'm late. No, I came early. It's my first time going out to hunt demon beasts, so I wanted to prepare in advance." "Then let's head out. Today's goal is to hunt as many water element demon beasts as possible and work toward evolving the three-tailed fox. Our tamed beasts are still too low level to hunt anything with crystal cores. Today's main task is still to level up your mosquito as fast as possible." People who recognized Li Yi and Lin Qingxu looked stunned as they passed by. Their goddess was actually walking alongside a boy, chatting away. "Isn't that Lin Qingxu? The person next to her is Li Yi. Didn't he just break up with Lu Yan? And now he's with Lin Qingxu?" Word was Li Yi took a huge hit from the breakup, but he doesn't look like someone who took a hit to me. Li Yi actually dares to stand this close to my goddess. Why would a high and cold goddess take any interest in a waste like that? Where exactly am I inferior to him? Li Yi sensed the killing intent radiating from all directions. Lin Qingxu had far too many admirers. This was going to cause problems. Lin Qingxu was long used to this kind of thing, and paid the stairs no attention whatsoever. New tamers usually paid to enter training grounds, where they could select suitable tamed beasts as practice opponents. A safe and controlled environment. Only tamers who were truly broke risked going out into the wild to fight demon beasts. To stay safe, the standard approach was to find enough people to form a team. A two-person group like Li Ye and Lin Xingxue was a sign of extreme confidence in their own abilities. Lin Xingxue's three-tailed fox was formidable. With 3 skills of different attributes and a relatively high level, it was capable of defeating same-tier demon beasts in one-on-one fights. Lin Xingxue was doing this partly to help Li Ye build up his strength. After all, Li Ye had no money for the training grounds. If we encounter demon beasts, stay behind me as much as possible. If we're outmatched, you go first. By the way, your mosquito grows through blood absorption, right? Does it have any requirements for the demon beast blood? No particular requirements. The level just needs to be higher than mine. With that, Li Ye summoned the blood-craving demon midge. Then he scanned the area for demon beast positions. Within moments, the locations of every demon beast within several hundred meters were completely clear. Through the scent of blood, he could accurately determine the species, numbers, and strength of nearby demon beasts. 2 unicorn wild boars at around 100 meters in the direction of 3 o'clock. A pack of blue wolves at about 300 meters directly ahead. After relaying the detected demon beast locations to Lin Xingxue, she looked genuinely surprised. How do you know that? Li Ye smiled. My tamed beast is extremely sensitive to blood. It can detect whether demon beasts are nearby just from the scent, including their numbers and approximate strength. Normally, when hunting demon beasts in the wild, the first priority is avoiding danger, and the second is finding demon beasts. Not finding suitable targets wastes a lot of time, and running into something too powerful puts you in danger. But the mosquito can detect the positions and levels of demon beasts in advance. That dramatically increases hunting efficiency. Your tamed beast's ability is excellent, a top-tier support. It's just a little weak in strength right now. We'll have to work on leveling your mosquito up. The blood-craving demon midge's capabilities sparked very real interest in Lin Xingxue. With proper cultivation, the role it could play was beyond imagination. As a scouting tool, it was virtually unmatched. The mosquito only needed blood to level up, and the higher the level of the beast it fed on, the faster it grew. Most tamed beasts were cultivated through nutrient solutions alongside consuming the flesh and blood of stronger demon beasts. A mosquito surviving on blood was natural enough. Cultivating it through blood absorption made perfect sense. Lin Xingxue asked curiously, so you plan to take a support-oriented path from the very beginning? Li Ye smiled more or less. The mosquito's abilities really are well suited for gathering intelligence. Let's take on the unicorn wild boars first. Blue wolves always travel in packs. At our current strength, 2 of us can't handle a pack. So the 2 of them headed off together toward the unicorn wild boars. They soon spotted 2 unicorn wild boars lazily chewing on grass. The boars were no small things. Each weighed 500 or 600 catties, with long tusks and black bristles like steel needles. This species was physically powerful with strong defense, but its attack patterns were relatively simple. Its horn could be crafted into weapons, its hide made into soft armor, its meat used as a cooking ingredient, useful from head to tail, and its level wasn't high. The only downside was its thick hide and powerful defense, which made killing one a real chore. That was exactly why unicorn wild boar meat was expensive. Lin Xingxue ordered the 3-tailed fox to attack without any hesitation. The 3-tailed fox's tail swayed as it summoned a fist-sized fireball and hurled it at the unicorn wild boar. The fireball exploded on impact. The unicorn wild boar squealed in pain, but the fireball hadn't dealt much damage at all. If anything, it had awakened the boar's ferocity. It charged straight at the 3-tailed fox. Li Ye said in surprise, its hide really is tough. I wonder if the blood-craving demon midge can pierce through its defense at its current strength. Lin Xingxue was experienced in combat and didn't panic. She gave a clean, decisive command, use blade attack. The 3-tailed fox's tail swayed as it unleashed 3 wind blades that struck the unicorn wild boar cleanly, slicing through its defense with ease. Then it immediately launched a second strike. The wind blades angled inward with tremendous force and hit the previous wound dead on, killing the unicorn wild boar outright. Truly an A-rank tamed beast. The attack power is formidable. Knowing the 3-tailed fox was strong was one thing, but seeing it in person was still impressive. That's exactly the 3-tailed fox's strength. Multiple attack modes, targeting an opponent's weaknesses specifically. Then Li Ye ordered the mosquito to feed. It flew over and drew deeply from the blood. Vitality add 0.4%. Impressive. A higher level demon beast really does carry more. And this is just the outer perimeter. The deeper you go, the higher the levels get. And Lin Xingxue's 3-tailed fox was even stronger than expected. Getting the mosquito to feed to its fill today was clearly going to be no problem at all. The higher the level, and the greater the number of demon beasts encountered, the more likely they were to carry divine beast bloodline. Even if the divine beast bloodline was extremely diluted, it would accumulate over time, and eventually raise the mosquito's power to extraordinary heights. Lin Xingxue didn't rush. The whole point of coming out to hunt demon beasts was to let Li Ye's mosquito level up. The 3-tailed fox, however, sat nearby with aristocratic disdain, too proud to eat the flesh and blood of such a low-level demon beast. Once the mosquito had nearly fed to bursting, it stopped on its own. Take all the unicorn wild boars with us. Once the mosquito finishes digesting, it can feed again. The mosquito's full. Let's keep moving. Lin Qingshui collected the unicorn wild boar carcasses into her storage bracelet. Storage items were expensive and out of reach for most ordinary people. The price varied enormously depending on the storage capacity. For the vast majority of ordinary tamers, a storage tool with a few dozen centimeters of space was already considered excellent, enough to carry some more valuable items that needed to be kept close. Lin Qingshui's storage bracelet had a full capacity of over 100 cubic meters. No matter how many demon beasts they hunted, there would be more than enough room. Just then, a large number of blue wolves appeared ahead, quite a few of them, at around level 10. Li Yi said, "We could take one together, but this is a wolf pack. Let's go around and look for separated targets." "Whatever you say." Lin Qingshui had already placed complete trust in the blood-craving demon midge's abilities, and handed the navigation entirely over to Li Yi. Li Yi had the blood-craving demon midge rapidly digest the absorbed blood while conducting a wide-range scan of the surrounding area. Perhaps because the unicorn wild boar it had absorbed was higher leveled, the mosquito's digestion was considerably slower this time, but it didn't affect the blood-craving demon midge's flight at all. A moment later, a mental pulse came through. Ahead lay a swamp. It was home to a large number of rain-chime frogs. Though the rain-chime frogs were group-dwelling, each one operated completely independently. Most importantly, they were water element demon beasts, highly useful for the evolution of Lin Qingshui's three-tailed fox. Li Yi's tamed beast relayed the information. About 2 li to the left ahead, there's a swamp. There are quite a few rain-chime frogs there, levels ranging from 8 to 10. Very suitable for us to hunt. Lin Qingshui's eyes lit up and she perked up immediately. They're all water element demon beasts? That's right. Their levels are a bit low, and the probability of crystal cores is small, but with enough numbers we should be able to get a few. The two of them headed quickly toward the swamp. The rain-chime frogs were large, bigger than a full-grown bullfrog, positioned every few meters. Whenever an insect or small bird flew past, they opened their mouths and fired a water arrow to shoot it down, then extended their tongues to reel it in. Most of the time they sat completely motionless, like wooden stumps. The moment they arrived, they saw a rain-chime frog in the middle of a hunt. The water arrow had an impressive range, and dealt significant damage. Let's take on isolated ones first. Whatever we do, don't startle too many at once, or the only option will be to run. Lin Qingzhu agreed, then ordered the three-tailed fox to attack. 3 wind blades swept toward a rain-chime frog. The rain-chime frog sensed the danger and opened its mouth, releasing 3 water arrows, which actually blocked the wind blades. The rain-chime frog's large eyes turned toward the 2 of them. Then it opened its mouth and fired water arrows. Lin Qingzhu called out, "Three-tailed fox!" The three-tailed fox's tail swayed as it released 3 wind blades even larger than before. Both sides' skills collided in the air. Another draw. The massive commotion drew the attention of the surrounding rain-chime frogs and they began converging on the area. Li Yi said, "This is bad. Fall back now." Lin Qingzhu knew that getting surrounded meant certain defeat, so she followed Li Yi and ran. Once they were outside the swamp's range, the rain-chime frogs gave up the chase. The rain-chime frogs were actually this powerful. Killing all of them was going to be far harder than expected. The three-tailed fox was still too low level. It could barely manage one-on-one, but against 2 or more, it was no match. And even taking on a single rain-chime frog caused enough noise to draw the ones nearby. Lin Qingzhu thought for a moment and said, "To be safe, let's change targets. These frogs are too densely packed. There's no way we can fight through them." Li Yi had been thinking the whole time about how to deal with the rain-chime frogs. If the mosquito and the three-tailed fox coordinated properly, there was still a chance. The only way to win was to draw the rain-chime frogs out one at a time. Your three-tailed fox has the allure skill. It can briefly stun a rain-chime frog, and my mosquito has the paralysis skill. As long as it can get close to the rain-chime frog, it can slow their reaction speed. If they can't block the three-tailed fox's skills in time, we can take them down one by one. Lin Qingshu was somewhat surprised. "Your mosquito has quite a few skills," Li Yi said. "A mosquito injects anesthetic when it pierces the skin to feed, so the prey doesn't notice. My mosquito works the same way." "I see. If the plan works, we can definitely take out all these rain-chime frogs." Lin Qingshu didn't hesitate. She had the three-tailed fox approach a rain-chime frog and use the allure skill. Sure enough, a pink glow appeared in the rain-chime frog's eyes as it stared fixedly at the three-tailed fox. The blood-craving demon midge seized the opportunity, flew in behind the rain-chime frog, and injected a heavy dose of anesthetic. The three-tailed fox immediately unleashed 3 wind blades simultaneously at 3 rain-chime frogs. This time the rain-chime frogs were too slow to respond, and their water arrows went wide. The wind blades struck the rain-chime frogs and killed them outright. Lin Qingzhu was delighted when she saw the strategy working. "Your idea is brilliant. This approach will absolutely let us clear out all the rain-chime frogs. Let's keep doing it this way." Li Yi directed the blood-craving demon midge to keep coordinating in clearing the rain-chime frogs, while he drew his dagger and split open their heads to search for crystal cores. After cutting open 7 rain-chime frogs, he finally found a soybean-sized water element crystal core. "Just as I thought, even low-level demon beasts can produce crystal cores, even if the probability is small. But there are a lot of rain-chime frogs here. Getting a few dozen crystal cores is definitely doable." The normally ice-cold three-tailed fox's eyes lit up with intense longing the moment it saw the water element crystal core. It looked eagerly toward Lin Qingzhu. Then Li Yi tossed the crystal core directly to the three-tailed fox, and the three-tailed fox leaped up and swallowed it in one bite. Indeed, the higher the rank of a tamed beast, the harder it is to raise. The three-tailed fox had no interest in ordinary demon beast flesh and blood. It only responded to crystal cores. And even a crystal core this small was worth a considerable amount. It was clear that raising a high-ranked tamed beast was simply beyond the means of an ordinary family. After eating the crystal core, the three-tailed fox threw itself into the work with real enthusiasm, coordinating without needing a single command. It used the bewilderment skill first, to capture the rain-chime frog's attention, let the blood-craving demon midge anesthetize them, then launch the attack. Wave after wave of rain-chime frogs were cleared away. Roughly every 7 to 8 frogs yielded one small water element crystal core. The three-tailed fox ate with great contentment, while the mosquito drew blood in large gulps. Vitality kept climbing steadily. Liya also gained a new skill, Water Affinity, reduces water attribute damage taken by 50%, and allows complete ease of movement in water. This skill was quite useful as well. Even setting aside combat, it gave an advantage over others in something as simple as swimming. After half a day's work, every rain-chime frog in the area had been cleared. Lin Qingshu no longer had any objection to Liye choosing the mosquito as his tamed beast. Though the mosquito's attack power wasn't strong, it was invaluable whether for locating demon beasts or for supporting an assault. Had he chosen the S-rank Crimson Flame Golden Tiger or Azure Water Divine Turtle, the leveling speed in the early stages might not have been this fast. Lin Qingsui also quietly resolved to work with full commitment toward raising her own strength. If the three-tailed fox could really evolve again, it would have a chance to become an S-rank tamed beast, and only then could partnering with Li Ye bring out their maximum combined power. Lin Qingsui said, "Let's move to a new area." Li Ye said, "Sure, let's find some higher-level demon beasts to hunt." Just then, the sound of footsteps came from not far away, followed by a startled exclamation. "How are all the rain-chime frogs here dead?" The two of them turned around. It was a small squad. They spotted Li Ye and Lin Qingshu immediately, and every eye in the group fixed on them. A man around 28 years old said with mild irritation, "Who are you two? Did you kill all these rain-chime frogs?" Li Ye said, "Can I help you? We came specifically to hunt rain-chime frogs. We needed a few of their crystal cores, but with our level of strength, we're honestly no match for rain-chime frogs, let alone killing this many of them." Not wanting to invite trouble, Li Yi simply lied. The dark-faced young man said coldly, "If you were just low-ranked tamers, why didn't you pick up any of the rain-chime frog carcasses to sell? You two completely ignored them. There's only one explanation. You're the ones who killed these rain-chime frogs. Hand over all the crystal cores, and we'll let you leave." Just looking at Li Ye and Lin Qingshu's ages made it obvious the two of them had only recently become tamers. Neither of them was high-leveled, yet they had managed to kill this many rain-chime frogs. There was only one way that was possible. They had used some kind of tool or a tamed beast specifically suited to counter rain-chime frogs, and they had almost certainly collected a large number of crystal cores. Li Ye remained on quiet guard while exchanging a glance with Lin Qingshui to signal her to get ready for a fight as well. But he kept his smile and said, "There's been a misunderstanding. It's not that we didn't pick up the rain-chime frog carcasses, it's that our storage space is limited and we couldn't carry them back, even taking one or two with us. Out in the wild like this, the smell of blood would attract monsters, and that would be a real problem." Li Ye's explanation was perfectly reasonable. It was something covered in their textbooks. The smell of blood easily attracted nearby demon beasts. If what came was a low-level demon beast, that was manageable. But if a high-level demon beast was drawn in and they couldn't handle it, they would most likely lose their lives. Without sufficient strength, no one would dare do something like that. But no matter how Li Ye explained it, they still didn't believe him. They had spent a long time preparing for the hunt, and they weren't willing to come away empty-handed. "If you want to leave, fine. But we're searching every storage item first. Try to pull anything funny in front of us, and don't blame us for turning hostile." The dark-faced young man had stopped pretending. In his mind, even if Li Ye and Lin Qingshu weren't the ones who had taken the rain-chime frog crystal cores, Lin Qingshu was dressed head to toe in expensive clothes. Her background was clearly wealthy. Even if they didn't get the crystal cores, robbing the two of them would at least compensate for some of the loss. Li Ye's patience had completely run out. He gave a warning. "We're students from Haicheng High School. You'd better think carefully about who you're trying to rob." But they just laughed at that. "So what if you're from Haicheng High School? Out here hunting in the wild, people die all the time. That's perfectly normal." Fury blazed in Lin Qingshu's beautiful eyes. It hadn't even occurred to her that someone would attempt robbery and murder in broad daylight. She said coldly, "How incredibly arrogant. You'd better think about whether you actually have what it takes to rob us." Heh. This girl's quite the looker. Didn't expect her to have such a fiery personality. But I happen to like that type. If you cooperate nicely, we might just let you live. But if you fight back, don't blame me for being ruthless. The atmosphere turned razor sharp in an instant. They summoned their tamed beasts as well. Li Yi's heart sank. Their tamed beasts were all around level 20. How were they supposed to fight this? No wonder these people had been so brazen from the moment they appeared. They really could kill and silence witnesses without any difficulty. Li Yi was about to say something to Lin Qingshu when she moved close to him and said quietly, "I'll hold them off. You run." Li Yi refused without hesitation. "No, you can't handle all of them alone." It seemed his strength was still being underestimated. The whole day's hunting had given the mosquito non-stop opportunities to feed, and its level had risen quickly. The mosquito had already broken past level 10, and with the talent feedback, Li Yi's own abilities had also improved substantially. A direct confrontation was still not in his favor against these people, but they had no idea his combat power was on par with the warriors. Li Yi said quietly, "If you trust me, go with my plan. We can definitely beat them." Lin Qingshu had complete confidence in him and agreed immediately. "Fine, you draw their attention. I'll pretend to run and ambush them from behind." Li Yi said, "As long as you can pull their tamed beast's attention, I'm confident we can beat them." Lin Qingshu said, "As long as you're confident, we'll do it your way." Lin Qingshu watched the enemy closing in and had the three-tailed fox launch its attack without hesitation. The three-tailed fox's attack was every bit as powerful as expected. Wind blades and fireball launched together. The firepower was ferocious. Lin Qingshu pretended to be losing the fight and shouted loudly, "Run! Go get help!" Li Yi turned and fled without another word, making them think he was genuinely unable to fight and trying to escape. The dark-faced young man said in fury, "Looking for death. His tamed beast is a python." The python swept its tail up in front of everyone, blocking the fireball and wind blades entirely. Only a few marks were left on the python's body. "You think that pitiful strength is enough to fight me? Your tamed beast's talent isn't bad, but it's still no match for mine. Surrender now if you don't want to die, or don't blame me for showing no mercy." Lin Qingshu snorted coldly. "Don't get too smug. There might be people from our school nearby who heard the noise and are coming to help. Attempting murder and robbery in broad daylight. You'd better think carefully about the consequences." Still mouthing off when you're about to die? "I was going to let you off easy, but it looks like we need to make sure there's no evidence left behind now." They guessed that Lin Qingshu dared to fight because the two of them had obtained crystal cores, and so they hit harder with even less restraint. The dark-faced young man ordered, "Go bring that boy back." Then he continued his assault on Lin Qingshu. The three-tailed fox had been pushed completely over the edge as well, summoning an enormous fireball and hurling it at the python. The python sensed the immense power within it and didn't dare take the hit directly. It dodged to the side. The three-tailed fox had absorbed a large quantity of crystal cores and was brimming with power, launching one fireball after another. It actually managed to keep the python from getting close at all. "Three-tailed fox, keep them pinned," Lin Qingshui called. She intended to hold all 5 people in place and buy time for Li Yi. The three-tailed fox launched fireballs while also unleashing wind blades to intercept them. Li Yang was just moving to give chase when a wind blade came slicing straight down at his head, making him scramble frantically to dodge. He was so furious his face had gone pale. He snapped at his partner. "What kind of blocking was that? She almost killed me. That girl's tame beast is definitely A rank. Not easy to deal with. Let's all move together and take her out first. We've got pursuit-type tame beasts anyway. That guy won't get far." The dark-faced young man hadn't expected to be suppressed by Lin Qingshu despite having a level advantage. The embarrassment was real. They had robbed and killed lone travelers many times before. This absolutely could not get out. Facing a simultaneous assault from 5 people, the pressure on Lin Qingshu instantly multiplied. But she was sharp-minded too. She fought while continuously retreating, refusing to let them surround her. The others' tamed beasts relied either on physical attacks or single-target spell attacks. But Lin Qingshu's three-tailed fox could use fireball and wind blade simultaneously. Not only powerful, but extremely fast in its attack speed, holding off 5 opponents alone, and it was working. The longer it dragged on, the more anxious they became. A fight this loud could easily draw nearby attention. If people came, they would be in serious trouble. Going after students would bring a manhunt down on them. "I refuse to believe a student can hold off this many of us. Stop holding back. Full attack." The dark-faced young man said urgently, "If even one person escapes, they'll go get reinforcements. That's not good for us." Every eye was focused entirely on Lin Qingshu. Li Yi pushed his speed to the absolute limit and circled around behind all 5 of them. After confirming they hadn't noticed, he gave the mosquito the order to attack. The person at the very back heard the mosquito's sound and turned his head in confusion to look. Before he could react, the mosquito's mouthpart drove straight into his throat. The anesthetic was injected. His body stiffened rapidly, no longer under his control. The mosquito's attack wasn't lethal, but it drastically reduced his ability to move. Li Yi seized the opening and charged in close, driving his fist into the man's face. The commotion drew the others' attention. Seeing Li Yi, who had supposedly run away, return and launch a surprise attack, they were both stunned and furious. Li Yi dealt with one and moved on to the next. But that person not only didn't panic, a glint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, he summoned a second tamed beast, a lizard over a meter long, its body covered in thick armored plates. Fangs bared halfway out of its mouth, looking ferocious. One successful ambush is one thing. You don't expect to keep succeeding with the same trick. He directed the lizard to bite at Li Yi, but Li Yi didn't dodge. He drove a kick straight into the lizard's jaw. The enormous force sent the lizard tumbling. The man's eyes nearly popped out of his head. His lizard was B rank. Its combat power was no joke. Even freshly summoned and not at a particularly high level, it was more than capable of handling an ordinary person. How could Li Yi dodge a lizard and then kick it over with 1 foot? That kick was carrying at least 200 or 300 caddies of force. How could a tamer possibly have that kind of strength? Then Li Yi came straight at the man himself. At this range there was no dodging. A punch sent him flying. He hit the ground and rolled several times. His eyes rolled back, and he lost consciousness. The remaining 3 summoned their second tame beasts and said, "You're not leaving here alive today." They had reached level 20 and contracted a second tame beast each. They thought teaming up made them invincible. And yet here they were. Li Yi paid their threats no attention. Instead, he smiled broadly, waved at them and said, "Watch your backs." Lin Qingshui was worried they'd concentrate on Li Ye, so she had the three-tailed fox keep up a full-force assault. "Damn it, all three of you focus up, direct your tamed beasts, split them between dealing with Lin Qingshui and Li Ye." Robberies like this had always gone smoothly before. The victims either handed over their valuables without a fight or got killed. But today was like something out of a nightmare. Two people with no high-level power, and they were this hard to deal with. In a moment of carelessness, two of their own had already been taken down. Li Yi attacked their tamed beasts, drawing their attention. The blood-craving demon midge flew at blinding speed toward all three of them. "Just a mosquito daring to attack me, go die!" The dark-faced young man saw the mosquito coming, and paid it no attention whatsoever, swinging to slap it out of the air. The blood-craving demon midge drew close and summoned a wind blade and a small fireball. Though due to its low level, the power wasn't particularly great. Against a tamed beast, something else might not even bother to dodge. But the target was a person. That changed things entirely. A tamer's physical constitution was only marginally stronger than an ordinary person's. Even the lowest level wind blade and fireball were enough to kill one. The dark-faced young man was startled and quickly pulled his hand back to dodge, but however fast he moved, he wasn't faster than the mosquito's flight. The mosquito's long mouthpart drove into the back of his neck, injecting a heavy-duty anesthetic. The dark-faced young man's eyes went wide. His throat clicked and rattled, but he couldn't produce a single sound. All four limbs went numb, almost completely unresponsive. Li Ye seized the moment and charged in, knocking him to the ground with one punch. Then he did the same to the remaining two, taking them both down. It was the first time Lin Qingshui had ever seen Li Ye fight. She said in shock, "Li Ye, when did you become a warrior?" Li Ye paused for a few seconds before it registered. He said, "I trained on my own, in secret. To avoid drawing attention, I never let it show. And now look, catching them completely off guard, it worked brilliantly. If these guys had known I was dual-classed, we'd never have had it this easy. I finally understand now why you contracted a mosquito. Looking back on it, your decision was completely right." Lin Qingshu was thoroughly won over. Everyone had underestimated Li Ye. At most they saw him as a formidable support-type tamer. But they had all gotten it wrong. It also lit a fire in Lin Qingshu. She was going to have to work even harder going forward, or she'd fall behind Li Ye's pace. The dark-faced young man who had been knocked down was not happy about it at all, and he shouted defiantly, "I'll take the loss today. Just let us go, and we'll pretend this never happened. Otherwise our organization will never let you two off." Still running his mouth even at death's door, Li Yi had no patience left and gave him a kick. "Let me tell you, if you so much as lay a finger on me, your whole family dies. I'm with the Black Wolf Mercenary Corps." Li Ye and Lin Qingshui exchanged a glance and reached the same conclusion. At this point there was no room for any kind of compromise. Letting them go would only guarantee retaliation. The safest thing to do was leave no trace. Act as though these people had never been encountered at all. Thanks for the tip. Killing you is the safer option. After all, no one saw anything out here. The dark-faced young man was terrified. He genuinely hadn't expected these two to be this ruthless. He immediately began to beg, "Please, just let us go. Everything we're carrying is yours. We swear we'll never come for revenge." Li Yi didn't believe a word of it. He gave the blood-craving demon midge the order to use fireball and incinerate them, leaving nothing behind. Lin Qingshui finally couldn't hold the question back. "What rank is your mosquito? How does it have this many skills? If it were the lowest grade tamed beast, it should barely have any attacks at all. Even an ordinary person would just get a small welt from a mosquito bite." But the blood-craving demon midge had been growing visibly larger in just 2 days, and it had now demonstrated several different skills. Even her three-tailed fox only had 3. This was hard to believe. Li Ye trusted Lin Qingshu's character completely. He had known from before agreeing to team up with her that certain secrets would inevitably come out. Li Ye said, "That's its ability. Absorbing blood lets it acquire skills. For example, after feeding on a water element demon beast's blood, it learned water arrow." He had the blood-craving demon midge demonstrated as he spoke, though the skill's power was considerably weaker than a rain-chime frog's version. Lin Qingshu's eyes went wide, even more stunned than before. She had never heard of any tamed beast like this, one that could keep acquiring skills indefinitely, and those skills could continue leveling up and growing stronger. If that was possible, didn't that mean it could become the most powerful tamed beast in existence? Even with a personality as cool as hers, she couldn't maintain her composure in that moment. Lin Qingshu finally understood why Li Ye had given up the S-rank tamed beast and chosen a mosquito. With the right cultivation, couldn't the mosquito surpass S-rank, or even exceed sacred rank? Li Ye said, "I can't say for certain. There's no precedent for something like this. This mosquito is nothing like an ordinary one. It can absorb blood to gain skills and complete its evolution. As for what level it can reach or whether there's a ceiling, I don't know. Choosing it was a gamble on its talent." Lin Qingxi's gaze turned resolute. She said, "Even if it never reaches S-rank, just these talent skills alone make it remarkable. At the very least, you can become an incredibly formidable top-tier support tamer. I'm going to work even harder to grow my own strength from now on. If it comes to it, I'll be the one protecting you." As she said that, a faint flush crept into Lin Qingxi's cheeks. Li Ye didn't read anything into it. Lin Qingshu was from one of Haicheng's great families and was strikingly beautiful. How could she possibly see anything in him? Being her friend was already more than enough. Sounds good. From now on we fight side by side. I'll handle the scouting, and together we'll cut through everything in our way. Lin Qingshui noticed that Li Ye had completely missed the feeling behind her words. She let out a quiet breath of relief, but couldn't deny there was a small flicker of disappointment alongside it. Then again, it was understandable. Li Yi had just gone through a breakup. His mind wasn't going to go there. Then let's head out and find more targets. The two of them hadn't walked far before Li Ye suddenly stopped. The blood-craving demon Midge had sent back some information through the mental link. Lin Qingshui noticed the change in him and asked, "What's wrong? Did you find something?" "There's a small squad ahead. Their movements are a bit unusual. They're about 800 meters away. It's a 7-person group. Think they might have found something worth hunting? Should we go take a look? That doesn't feel right. We're here to hunt, not steal other people's targets." Lin Qingshui wanted Li Ye to let the idea go. Getting into a confrontation with another group out in the wild, where hunting was already dangerous, was not a smart move. Let's follow them and see before deciding anything. We're not stealing their prey. If we come across a powerful demon beast, all I need is a chance to have the mosquito draw a bit of blood. Powerful demon beasts are rare, and even when we find one, our current strength might not be enough to handle it. But the more intense the fight against a powerful demon beast, the more severely wounded it's bound to be. Getting the mosquito to sneak in a few draws of blood while that's happening shouldn't be a problem. After hearing Li Ye's reasoning, Lin Qingshui agreed immediately, so the two of them moved quickly to follow the hunting party. When they caught up and got a clear look at the group's faces and clothing, both of them were taken aback. It was people from the Han clan. Li Ye's anger surged. It was bad enough that Han Chen had stolen his girlfriend. He also sent lackeys to cause Li Ye trouble. That was going too far. That score wasn't something he was going to let slide easily. Since they'd run into people from the Han clan, he might as well use the opportunity to stir up some trouble for them. Lin Qingshui said nothing, but she had already figured out what Li Yi intended. She had no goodwill toward the Han clan whatsoever. If Li Yi wanted to get back at them, she had no intention of stopping him. So the two of them quietly fell in behind. Be careful. They have a detection-type tamed beast. We could easily be spotted. Li Ye got a closer look and quickly pulled Lin Qingshui behind a tree. With the blood-craving demon Midge trailing behind, they were less likely to be detected. They're quite strong. There's someone at level 40 among them. I think this is still a bit too risky. Lin Qingshui was worried about getting killed. After all, they were in the wild, and being students wasn't going to protect them out here. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. We keep our distance and watch. We only make a move when we're confident enough. Li Yi, you have to keep your word. Li Yi said, "Of course. I value my life very much." Lin Qingshui fell silent. She had already made up her mind. Even if they were discovered, she would protect Li Ye and get him out first. The Han clan wouldn't dare do anything to her. As long as Li Ye got away safely, that was what mattered. They followed the group for over an hour, watching them stop and start frequently, often crouching to examine traces on the ground. After a while, they suddenly quickened their pace. A hyena raced ahead of them, and they followed quickly. It looks like they've found their target. We were right. There's definitely a powerful demon beast ahead. Li Ye grew increasingly excited. The Han clan people were absolutely going to get into a fierce battle with a demon beast. They had even brought a level 40 expert. Whatever the demon beast was, it wasn't going to be weak. If the mosquito could feed on a beast like that, it might just be enough to complete its evolution and bring about a total transformation in its strength. Li Ye thought to himself, the best outcome would be both sides crippling each other. Then Lin Qingshui and I can take our share. He had already burned his bridges with Han Chen anyway. No need to show them any courtesy. Just then, a wolf's howl tore through the air, and the very earth trembled. Distant birds were startled from the trees all at once. Li Ye and Lin Qingshui both felt the blood and qi in their chests surge from the shockwave. They thought an earthquake had struck. The two of them looked at each other, each seeing the shock in the other's eyes. What kind of demon beast was this? It sounded like a wolf's howl, but what kind of wolf had this kind of power? At the very least, it was a wolf king. Li Ye suddenly had a realization: the wolf king is giving birth, and it's no low-level wolf king either. These people are going after the pups. The Han clan really thought this through. Could they be preparing for Han Chen's next beast contract? There were two ways to contract a spirit beast. The first was summoning, which directly determined the ceiling of the first tamed beast's rank and the tamer's ultimate potential. But upon reaching level 20 and contracting a second beast, another option became available. Those without money gambled on summoning for their second beast, but the summoned beast's rank would never exceed the first one. However, through later research, tamers discovered that the second beast could be contracted through a different method, selecting a recently born young creature and raising it, allowing it and the tamer to build a bond. Upon reaching level 20, a contract with the demon beast could then be formed. This method allowed the tamer to choose the most powerful species of demon beast to contract, completely eliminating all the drawbacks of summoning. Han Chen's first tamed beast was already wolf-type. Contracting a wolf-type tamed beast a second time would carry an even higher success rate. Clearly, the Han clan had put considerable thought into Han Chen's future, going so far as to track down a wolf king's pup. The species wasn't yet clear, but judging from that howl, its power was unmistakably formidable. The blood-craving demon Midge flew ahead to gather information and returned before long. The Han clan people picked their timing perfectly. Right now, the Wolf King was at its most vulnerable, the ideal moment to kill it. And this was a very rare winged Wolf King, a peak-a-tier specimen. Lin Qingshui was equally stunned. Among all tamed beast abilities, the most prized was the ability to fly. This type of beast was extraordinarily rare in the first place. Even if its combat power was somewhat weaker, the ability to fly made it extraordinary. Do you think there's any chance we could take the winged wolf king's pups for ourselves? Lin Qingxi's heart was stirred as well. Even if she couldn't use them herself, they could go to others in her family. Li Yi smiled lightly. It's worth a try. Let's wait and see. Whatever happens, don't let them spot us. A winged wolf king after giving birth would be weakened, but its temperament would also become far more aggressive. These people aren't going to find killing the winged wolf king as easy as they think. Lin Qingzhu agreed completely. Both of them crouched in a hidden spot and watched quietly as the group made their move. The winged wolf king had barely finished giving birth when it caught unfamiliar scents, leaving it restless and extremely agitated. It used its howl to intimidate those outside. Ordinary demon beasts would flee in terror at such a howl, but contracted tamed beasts were unaffected. The team leader was a middle-aged man with a long knife scar running from the corner of his eye all the way to his jaw, giving him a fierce and formidable air. His expression showed pleasure. The Wolf King must have just given birth. It's still in its weakened period. We deal with the winged Wolf King now. The pudgy tamer Han Zhang summoned an enormous turtle. Watching from the distance, Leah immediately understood. This hunting party had been assembled specifically to deal with the winged Wolf King. It had attack-type tamed beasts, a flying-type tamed beast, and a defense-type tamed beast, capable of blocking the winged Wolf King's attacks and preventing it from escaping into the air. Once Li Ye had the full picture, excitement rose in his chest. He was absolutely getting the winged Wolf King's blood. First, let them fight it out to mutual ruin. Han Zhang directed the turtle-tamed beast into the winged Wolf King's cave. Moments later, a world-shaking roar erupted from inside the cave, shaking the earth. In just a short while, two enormous figures burst out of the cave. The turtle fought while retreating, its entire body retracted into its shell, and the turtle's speed was completely beyond what Li Ye had imagined. He had assumed turtles were slow, but when this one ran, it was no slower than any other animal. Once in open ground, the turtle pulled itself fully into its shell and held still, letting the winged Wolf King attack freely without budging. Occasionally, when the winged Wolf King drew close, the turtle would suddenly thrust its head out and snap. Fortunately, the winged Wolf King had sharp reflexes. If that bite had connected, the fight would essentially have been over. The middle-aged man gave loud orders, and more tamed beasts were summoned. They swarmed in together. The winged Wolf King was startled and quickly spread its wings and took to the sky. A beast of this caliber was highly intelligent. The winged Wolf King understood it had been ambushed. It had newborn pups to protect, its own body was still seriously weakened, and it held no advantage out in the open, so it retreated back into the cave. At the very least, it couldn't be attacked from all sides in there, and it could protect the pup's safety. Then a clear hawk cry rang out from above. Wind blades screamed downward in a sweeping wave. The hawk extended its talons and dove for the winged Wolf King. The hawk was lower in both level and rank than the winged Wolf King, but the Wolf King was surrounded. After only a brief delay, the winged Wolf King couldn't fully avoid it. A shield of light quickly materialized around its body, taking the hawk's attack head-on. The winged Wolf King was driven back to the ground. Fully enraged now, it let out a roar and lunged, locking jaws with the nearest tamed beast. True to its title of Wolf King, fighting many opponents at once without losing ground, the middle-aged team leader wasn't concerned in the slightest. His expression remained calm. Although the Wolf King's momentum was strong right now, it had just given birth and couldn't sustain this for long. All they had to do was wait until it ran out of energy, then press the attack. Li Ye could tell the fight wasn't going to reach a conclusion anytime soon. He spotted his opening and sent the blood-craving demon midge into the cave. The cave was deep. The mosquito flew for over 100 meters before reaching the end. It found two wolf pups in the den, eyes closed, sleeping peacefully. Each had a tiny pair of wings on their backs, impossibly cute. Through the mental connection the blood-craving demon midge shared, Li Ye knew everything happening inside the cave. He gave the order without hesitation. Draw a little blood first and see what happens. The blood-craving demon midge caught the scent of high-tier demon beast blood and grew visibly excited. It aligned with a vein on one pup's neck and drove in. Vitality add 2. Truly a high-tier demon beast, the vitality gain is this high. To avoid harming the pups, Leah had the blood-craving demon midge split the feeding evenly between both, then withdraw to begin digesting. Time passed bit by bit. The winged Wolf King's momentum had diminished significantly from before. Both the Wolf King and the tamed beasts were covered in wounds. Even Lin Qingzhe could tell that the Wolf King's defeat was only a matter of time. The Wolf King can barely hold on. Should we step in and help? Don't rush, I think the winged Wolf King hasn't used its trump card yet. Stepping in to save the Wolf King now could easily get us killed by the Wolf King itself. And if the Wolf King runs, we'd get surrounded by the Han clan people. You're right. Lin Qingxue immediately trusted Li Ye's judgment and decided to keep waiting patiently. Li Ye was also waiting for the blood-craving demon midge to finish digesting. His strength would improve somewhat after that, giving him a better chance when the time came to act. A moment later, the winged Wolf King seized an opening and clamped its jaws onto a snake-tamed beast's neck, then hurled it with full force. The great serpent's neck was torn nearly in half. It crumpled to the ground in a coil. It clearly wasn't going to survive. The tamer's eyes turned red with rage. If he hadn't already contracted a second tamed beast, he'd be saying goodbye to his identity as a tamer altogether. He shouted, "I'll kill it!" He directed his hyena-tamed beast to charge forward. "Zhang Tian, don't lose control. You can contract another one at level 40. We'll find you a better one, the middle-aged man roared, pulling him back from the edge. Let me handle it. Another person directed his tamed beast forward to take the primary attacking role. They were past caring about whether their tamed beast got hurt. As long as they didn't die, injuries could be healed quickly once they got back. The middle-aged man sensed the moment was nearly right. He summoned a giant spider that began firing silk threads at the winged wolf king. The wolf king was wrapped in the spider silk and couldn't break free. The silk was enormously adhesive. The more it struggled, the tighter it became. The winged wolf king sustained several more wounds from bites. The wolf king is in trouble. It looks like it's about to fall. Lin Shui watched with tension. At that moment, the blood-craving demon midge had finished digesting and completed its level up. Li Ye clicked to receive the talent feedback, and his body's attributes increased once more. Don't rush. The wolf king isn't going down that easily. Moving now would just get us killed instantly. Li Ye was convinced the winged wolf king wasn't beaten yet. He was right. The next moment, the winged wolf king let out a massive howl. Its body swelled rapidly. Its jaws opened wide and fired a torrent of wind blades. The tamed beasts locked in close-range combat had no room to dodge at that distance. In an instant, they were sliced by the blades and sustained severe wounds. The middle-aged man's expression darkened with alarm. He directed the spider to fire even more silk. The winged wolf king, exhausted from the burst, was even weaker now. It tried to spread its wings and fly away. But the hawk in the sky had been waiting for exactly this moment. It dove immediately. Its talons shot toward the winged wolf king's head. If that strike had connected, the winged wolf king would have died on the spot. But the winged wolf king had anticipated this. It twisted its head quickly and bit down on the hawk's talons. The hawk hadn't expected to become the prey. It struggled with everything it had, but it was no match for the winged wolf king. It was killed in just a few bites. But in that moment, the winged wolf king hadn't noticed the silk threads flying toward it. It was wrapped up directly, unable to move. The winged wolf king roared furiously, firing blades repeatedly to cut through the silk. But the silk was already stuck to its body, severely limiting its movement. It was completely bound. Now let's see where you run, the middle-aged man said with great satisfaction. The wolf king was trapped. It had just burst its power and expended enormous strength in doing so. It couldn't hold on much longer. The middle-aged man immediately gave the order for all tame beasts to press the full attack, but he didn't notice a mosquito steadily closing in from behind, until it suddenly drove into the back of his neck. The middle-aged man's eyes went wide. He tried to raise his hand to swat it, but found his arm completely refused to lift. He tried to shout out loud, but his throat had gone completely numb. He couldn't produce a single sound. Every other tamer's attention was completely fixed on dealing with the winged wolf king. Not one of them noticed their own people being attacked from behind. Having landed its strike, the blood-craving demon midge immediately flew toward the spider-tamed beast. The spider silk was bound around the winged wolf king, straining hard to limit its movement. It paid no attention to the blood-craving demon midge approaching. It assumed a mosquito couldn't possibly pose any threat to it. But how was it to know that the mosquito's mouthpart could easily break through its defenses? The anesthetic was injected rapidly. The blood-craving demon midge was extremely pleased with itself in that moment. As a mosquito, being able to take down a spider was an achievement absolutely worth bragging about. After being anesthetized, the spider's mobility dropped sharply. The blood-craving demon midge swiftly injected anesthetic in several more spots. The spider quickly lost its ability to move. It could no longer produce silk and had no strength left to hold the winged wolf king in check. With the spider no longer restraining it, the winged wolf king regained some freedom of movement and began fighting back against the other tame beasts. The tamers still in combat sensed something was off. They turned urgently toward the middle-aged man and shouted, "What's going on? Get the spider to push harder. We're almost success. Why is it suddenly giving out on us?" But what they saw instead was a mosquito flying straight at one of their faces and driving into it. The anesthetic was injected. Then a fireball detonated right on his face. The man who had been speaking fell with a look of confused bewilderment on his face. The others finally realized something was very wrong. They called out loudly to warn their teammates, "We're under attack!" At that, they immediately recalled their tame beasts to shield themselves. The pressure on the winged wolf king lessened drastically. It seized the chance to break free and began fighting back with everything it had. The winged wolf king knew there was likely no escaping today, so it gave up on fleeing entirely. It resolved to kill every person and tamed beast before it. Its temperament had become completely savage. The blood-craving demon midge evaded skill attacks in the air with nimble precision. In the blink of an eye, it vanished into the forest, making it impossible for the enemy's tamed beasts to track it. The group was stamping their feet in fury. What kind of tamed beast was this? Just a mosquito. How did it have this kind of power? Who's there? Show yourselves. Stop skulking around. We're from the Han clan. You know what happens to people who make enemies of the Han clan. They shouted, cursed, and threatened, trying to make whoever was attacking them back down. Li Ye let out a cold laugh. "We're specifically here for you Han clan people." He called to Lin Shui, and they moved together. The three-tailed fox had been waiting impatiently. 3 fireballs and 3 wind blades launched simultaneously and hammered toward them. Li Ye's mosquito circled behind the enemy again, specifically targeting their tamed beasts in ambush, helping the winged wolf king eliminate its opponents. The moment any tamed beast was hit by the blood-craving demon midge and anesthetized, its movement speed dropped sharply. The winged wolf king easily got its jaws around them and bit straight into their vital points. Watching their tamed beasts fall one after another, the The Han clan people were desperate, but the three-tailed fox had them pinned. They couldn't focus on dealing with the ambusher. You dare cross the Han clan? Say your name. If you have the nerve, come out and fight us face to face. Stop with the ambushes. But Li Yi and Lin Qingzhu stayed hidden, directing their tamed beasts' attacks from cover. Before long, someone recognized the three-tailed fox. They said in shock, "That's one of the Lin clan's tamed beasts. That three-tailed fox belongs to Lin clan's eldest daughter, Lin Qingzhu. We've got no quarrel with the Lin clan. Why is she moving against us?" The others were genuinely frightened. The Lin clan in Haicheng was a more powerful presence than even their Han clan. For her to suddenly come at them like this, was the Lin clan moving against the Han clan? They were completely at a loss. The Lin and Han clans were competitors in Haicheng from the start, maintaining only a surface-level peace. Watching their tamed beasts being killed one by one, they knew that if they didn't run now, every one of them was going to die here. One man quickly called out to his teammates, "I'll hold them off. The rest of you run! Get this back to the family! The Lin clan is making their move against us!" Li Yi just laughed coldly. It was too late to be thinking about running. He signaled the mosquito to fly ahead and set up an ambush. In open ground, the blood-craving demon midge wasn't at its best, but inside the forest it was ideal territory for a surprise attack. Watching the enemy come close, Li Yi suddenly moved, a kick that sent one man flying. Then he threw a punch at the man's tamed beast, only to feel the impact numb his arm. The defense was too strong to break through. Li Yi immediately ducked back into the trees, wincing. "I've seen your face now. The Han clan's endless pursuit is coming for you." The threat hadn't even finished leaving his mouth before he froze in place. The blood-craving demon midge had already flown behind him and anesthetized him. Once every last one of them had been dealt with, Li Yi gave the order without hesitation. The blood-craving demon midge used fireball to incinerate them, leaving no evidence behind. Without the tamer's commands, the tamed beast's attacks fell into chaos. The winged wolf king killed them one by one. By then, the winged wolf king itself had reached the end of its strength. It swayed and collapsed to the ground. No matter how it struggled, it could no longer rise. Li Yi and Lin Qingzhu appeared before it. They didn't approach. After all, this was a wolf king. A dying counterattack from it could easily kill them. But they could see the winged wolf king's eyes filled with a plea. Li Yi understood what it was thinking and spoke. "Don't worry. We'll take good care of your children." Only then did the winged wolf king slowly close its eyes. It knew that everything, defeating all those enemies, had been possible only with their help, so it trusted them. Li Yi remained very cautious regardless. He had the blood-craving demon midge fly over to confirm that the winged wolf king had stopped breathing. Only then did he fully relax and allow the mosquito to feed. The wolf king had been over level 40, and as a boss-tier existence, its bloodline rank was extraordinarily high. Each draw of blood yielded 4 times the vitality of the pup's blood. After feeding, not only would its level increase, the bloodline talent might level up alongside it. Li Yi said, "The wolf king is gone. Let's get the pups out quickly." "Alright." Lin Qingzhu was barely able to contain her excitement. These were rare tamed beast pups. If they could be contracted, my family could raise 2 elite powerhouses. The 2 of them went into the cave and carried the pups out. Li Yi said, "I have no use for the pups. They're yours. Give me the wolf king's body." Lin Qingzhu said, "That's not right. I barely did anything. This all came down to you. I'd have never been able to deal with that many people without you. Everything should go to you. And since you have no use for the pups, I'll buy them from you. You're being too formal about this. We're a team. Everything we get, we split evenly. Or do you not consider me a friend?" The blood-craving demon midge really did carry a lot of the load, but without Lin Qingzhu's help, none of this harvest would have been possible. Lin Qingzhu thought for a moment, then simply removed her storage bracelet and placed it firmly in Li Yi's hands. "Since you said we split everything evenly, all of this is yours. Getting 2 winged wolf king pups is already more than my fair share." Li Yi was completely at a loss. The storage bracelet alone was worth a fortune. Why was she giving him every last thing as well? Lin Qingzhu blinked and said, "You clearly don't understand what 2 winged wolf king pups are worth. These are 2 A-rank flying tamed beasts with peak-tier combat power. Once they mature, they can cultivate 2 absolute top-tier powerhouses for our Lin clan. My father will approve of this trade without question." Li Yi had been about to push her to take more for herself, and instead she had found the opening to give him even more resources. Li Yi wasn't the type to be awkward about things. He genuinely needed a large amount of resources. He agreed on the spot and said, "Then I'll gratefully accept. I'm the one who should be grateful. Honestly, this team hunt has been enormously rewarding for me. Not only did I get 2 winged wolf king pups, but the 3-tailed fox also collected a large number of water element crystal cores. I believe it's only a matter of time before the 3-tailed fox evolves again." When the 2 of them returned to the city, they went their separate ways. Li Yi had to stay in the school dormitory. Lin Qingzhu went straight home. Li Yi decided to sell off all his hunted goods for money, keeping only the higher-level demon beast carcasses to feed the blood-craving demon midge. He immediately headed to the Adventurers Guild, a place where one could register as an adventurer, take missions to earn money, and sell all kinds of goods. It was the fastest place for warriors and tamers to make money. The enormous profits also meant enormous risks, but that didn't dampen anyone's enthusiasm for taking missions. He arrived at the selling counter. A sweet-looking female employee greeted him proactively. "Hello, are you here to sell some goods?" Li Ye gave a nod. That's right. I have a batch of hunted goods to sell. Please bring them out then. We'll give you the most professional assessment and make sure you're not shortchanged. Alright, Li Ye said. He pulled 2 unicorn wild boars out of his storage pouch and set them on the ground. The female employee was delighted. These were the best-selling items. The horn was a material for crafting weapons, and the meat was a premium ingredient. Most crucially, these 2 unicorn wild boars were in perfect condition, clearly killed in a single decisive strike. Top-grade goods without question. She immediately gave a professional quote. 2 unicorn wild boars together come to 9,500. Is that acceptable? Li Yi said. No problem. The female employee said, wonderful. Please give me your account number, and I'll transfer the funds right away. Li Yi called out to stop her. Hold on. I have more goods. At those words, the female employee's eyes lit up with excitement. The more goods she received, the higher her bonus. Her service immediately became even warmer than before. You're impressive. Please go ahead and bring out the rest. Li Yi looked around and said with some hesitation, the space here seems a bit small. It might not hold everything. The female employee looked confused. She glanced at the space around them. It seemed perfectly spacious. She gave her professional smile. Don't worry. We have dedicated handlers. No matter how much there is, we'll count and appraise it while moving it along. Someone nearby submitting a completed mission sneered, how low? Just use this to get the female employee's attention. The female employee felt slightly awkward. The person had spoken quite loudly. It was nearly impossible to pretend she hadn't heard. It was true that many people exaggerated to try to attract their attention. They would play along to let customers feel good about themselves. But if someone made it explicit, it could easily offend the customer. Leah paid the person no attention. He pulled out all the rain chime frogs they had hunted. In an instant, the rain chime frogs piled into a small mountain, filling every inch of the open space in front of the counter. A rough estimate put it at no fewer than 100. The female employee's eyes went wide. She covered her mouth with her hand, her expression full of complete disbelief. The people around them all stared over as well, jaws dropped, especially the person who had just been mocking him. His face burned. He had taken one look at Liye and seen a student, clearly not that strong. In his mind, someone like that showing off in front of the female employee was laughable. But he hadn't expected someone who clearly looked like he'd only just contracted a tamed beast to have killed this many targets. Either he was the young master of some great clan with a team of experts backing him up, or he was someone from a team sent to handle the sale of the goods. However, teams usually wore identifying markers that made their affiliation obvious at a glance. And if he were from a great clan in Haicheng, most people would know him by sight. But Liye didn't fit either of those descriptions. The onlookers snapped back to reality. Exclamations broke out. My god, these are level 10 rain chime frogs, and rain chime frogs are a group-dwelling species. Hunting this many of them is no small feat. Which team is this person from? Why aren't they wearing any identifying marker? This many rain chime frogs, they must have wiped out the entire population in the area. That's a fortune right there. Any chance of joining their team? That would mean no more grueling hunts on my own going forward. I'll go ask in a bit. Maybe they're actually looking for new members. Lee had no intention of drawing attention to himself. He said to the still dazed female employee, please begin the count quickly. I still have more that haven't come out yet. I'll have the appraisal experts over right away. There's no way one person can handle this much on their own. Several male employees came over, and seeing the rain chime frogs, they were equally stunned. They had never seen anyone bring in this many goods in a single visit. Even an ordinary hunting team rarely had returns this extraordinary. High-level hunting teams prioritized killing higher-tier demon beasts. Sending a team out to hunt rain chime frogs wasn't worth the resources. And since rain chime frogs lived in groups and weren't intimidated by large numbers, hunting them wasn't cost-effective. Regardless of how Liye had managed it, it was business for them. They quickly got to work on the count. Liye had instantly become a major client of the Adventurers Guild. The female employee waited on him with great care, even bringing out a chair especially for him. The count will take a little while. Please be patient. I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Liye didn't turn down the gesture. He sipped his tea leisurely and said, it's fine. No rush. Take your time. The female employee finally let out a breath of relief and relaxed somewhat. Rain chime frogs were also a highly marketable item. Their hide was an excellent material for making bags and shoes, and could even be used to craft some lower-tier armor. The meat was remarkably delicious, whether braised or made into a clay pot dish, a premium culinary ingredient either way. She was convinced that behind Li stood a large and powerful hunting team. If she could build a good relationship with him, it would bring considerable profits to the guild. She quickly reported the situation to her superiors. Before long, a middle-aged man came hurrying over, his forehead dotted with a fine sweat. The female employee immediately gave him a meaningful look. He understood at once, and walked briskly up to Liye, extending his hand in greeting. Hello, I'm the manager here, Li Chang. Being received by someone of this level was nothing but beneficial. Li Yi stood and shook his hand, saying, I'm Li Yi, a student at Haicheng High School. Even though Li Chang had mentally prepared himself, seeing this many rain chime frogs still gave him a shock. Li Chang asked curiously, to have hunted this many rain chime frogs, you must have done this as coordinated team effort, right? Li Yi didn't answer, just smiled lightly, neither confirming nor denying. Li Chang didn't press further. He produced a card and said, given your hunting capability, the guild would like to offer you a gold member card. From now on, all goods sold here will earn you an additional 10% on the price. In addition, any items you purchase from our guild will be available at a 10% discount. Li Ye was genuinely pleased at the news. This was a great deal. Who would turn down more money? And if he ever needed to buy weapons and equipment in the future, he'd save a good amount as well. Li Ye reached out and accepted it, thank you. Li Chang said, don't mention it. Clients like yourself are a blessing for us. Li Ye asked straightforwardly, does this mean the goods I'm selling today can be priced at the member rate? With a haul this size, an extra 10% added up to a meaningful amount. That goes without saying. From this moment on, you are our most distinguished gold member. I hope you'll continue to bring your goods here to the guild going forward. Li Ye agreed. The Adventurers Guild's prices might not quite match a private deal, but it saved the effort of finding buyers elsewhere. Well worth it. They made small talk back and forth, Li Chang doing his best to probe into Li Ye's background, but Li Ye revealed nothing of substance, carefully steering away from anything of importance. Li Chang kept smiling, laughing inwardly. Just as he suspected, the young man in front of him was no ordinary person. Someone who could hunt this many goods was clearly no ordinary background. The more they talked, the more respectful he became. A client like this had to be treated well. He would bring enormous business down the line. Watching the rain chime frogs nearly all be counted and sorted, Li Ye waved his hand, and another pile of rain chime frogs appeared, even larger than the first. At that, everyone completely lost their composure. What they had seen before was already extraordinary. No one had imagined that what had been brought out before wasn't even half of it. How many rain chime frogs had been hunted altogether? Did they wipe out every last rain chime frog in that entire swamp? By all logic, someone with that level of strength should be going after higher-tier demon beasts in more advanced zones. Could there have been some other purpose behind hunting rain chime frogs specifically? Sure enough, before long, someone noticed that every rain chime frog's head had been split open, and the crystal cores had already been extracted. The reason Li Ye had hunted the rain chime frogs became clear. He had been after water element crystal cores. Someone said, rain chime frogs are lower level, but they can still yield water element crystal cores. They must have been contracted for a related task that offered a price higher than the value of the frogs themselves. That's why they brought out a high-level team to clear out the rain chime frogs. At those words, the gazes directed at Li Ye became even more filled with awe. In this world, power commanded respect, though they felt Li Ye himself wasn't particularly strong. Backed by a team this powerful, his future was without limits. Li Chang and the female employee exchanged looks of undisguised joy. They had made a killing today. The goods this one person brought in already rivaled several days' worth of their usual income. Han Chen had just come back from a hunt himself, accompanied by a few of his followers. He planned to sell off some of the goods he had no use for. He wore a very satisfied expression. We killed several demon beasts of decent level today. I'll divide some useful things among the guys as rewards. The rest goes for sale. A way to profit off having followers, and they'll be even more grateful to him for it. Han Chen thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of being surrounded by a crowd wherever he went. Young Master Han's tamed beast is incredible, casually killing demon beasts above its level. Combined with Lu Yan's Firebird tamed beast, you're unstoppable out there. Young Master Han's beast levels up incredibly fast. We can't even keep up. That's what an A-rank tamed beast looks like. Hunting with young Master Han is the best. Our beasts level up without any danger. Young Master Han and Lu Yan are truly made for each other. Even your tamed beasts are the perfect combination. It won't be long before young Master Han becomes the strongest fighter at Haicheng High School. Being praised by all his followers made Han Chen genuinely happy, especially with the beautiful Lu Yan at his side. Wherever he walked, admiring eyes followed. His vanity was thoroughly satisfied. He had come to sell goods today partly to show himself off in front of everyone else, to make sure everyone in the place knew who he was. But when he walked in, he found everyone crowded together in a group, exclamations breaking out repeatedly. He found it strange. What could possibly be drawing this many people's attention? What happened up front? Why is everyone gathered like this? Come on, let's go take a look. Han Chen was already displeased. Someone had actually dared to steal his spotlight. He had to find a way to take it back. He was confident that once he brought out his own goods, he'd leave everyone speechless. Han Chen stepped forward. The scene before him was genuinely astonishing. Rain chime frogs piled into a small mountain. Every eye in the room turned toward a single person. It was Li Ye. Of all people to run into, fate really had a way of throwing them together. Han Chen ground his teeth. Han Chen had been furious when he heard that Li Ye had teamed up with Lin Qingshui to go hunting. He had taken Lu Yan away from Li Ye, and now Li Ye was with an even more beautiful girl. He couldn't accept it. Of course he had scoffed at the very idea. He didn't believe for a second that Lin Qingshui, an ice-cold goddess if there ever was one, would have any interest in a waste who contracted a mosquito. It was probably just a coincidence where the two had run into each other and exchanged a few words, and then the rumor had snowballed from there. Even so, it only made him despise Li Ye more. Li Ye was someone he didn't even dare pursue. How could he talk to his goddess? Was he even worthy? But the scene in front of him made no sense to him. All these rain chime frogs belonged to Li Ye. Whether he believed it or not, Li Ye was undeniably the center of attention in the room. A female employee stood nearby attending to him. The man beside Li Ye he recognized, the guild's manager. What was going on? Who hunted all these rain chime frogs? Han Chen couldn't help voicing the question. Lu Yan's expression turned very ugly as well. she had broken up with Li Ye. Only if Li Ye was miserable could she feel that the choice she made had been right. But the scene in front of her made her stomach drop. If it was Li Ye selling all these rain chime frogs, just how much was that worth? Someone nearby told Han Chen that these were all Li Ye's goods being sold, their voice unmistakably tinged with envy. The moment Han Chen heard it, his mind formed an immediate conclusion. He was convinced he understood the whole picture. He didn't believe for a second that Li Ye had hunted this many rain chime frogs through his own ability. After all, Li Ye had only contracted a mosquito. How could a useless tamer hunt this many rain chime frogs? Even leading a team himself, dealing with one would be quite an achievement. Rain chime frogs were not easy prey, and Li Ye's family was extremely poor to begin with. He had no connections and no money. There was no way he could have hired a team to hunt for him. That left only one possibility. Every single one of these rain chime frogs was stolen by Li Ye.